Hello, everybody. It is me, the queen of BNE, aka the CEO of our fantastic community, BNE Black Nurse Entrepreneurs, which is the premier organization for the Black nurse who is interested in launching, building, and growing his or her entrepreneurial endeavors worldwide. Now, if you've been following along, you know I've been talking about all things business planning for the month of July. And just to give you a brief recap, let me tell you what all I've been talking about for past few months actually. So April has been all about automations, May about momentum, June about operations, and July about business planning. And so I have been dropping consistent gems and tips to you about in instituting some type of a business plan or planning in within the business, not just the business plan, the document, but the planning, annual planning, quarterly planning, monthly planning, planning for launches, planning for different things, events and stuff like that. And so I've been coming to you and dropping tidbits about the different things that you can do in order to plan better and more strategically within your business so that you decrease stress, that you improve synergy, and then the business can grow, thrive, and flourish. Okay. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk today about if you decide to not take the advice and not institute planning within your business, what you're looking at. So today's topic is all about failure to plan. Now, one of my mentors always asks us, she says, what deserves planning within your business? Can anybody tell us? And so people obviously, they shout out different answers. And she says, everything, everything requires a plan within the business. That's just how important planning in your business is. And so I want to talk to you about if you do not take that advice, if you do not instill some type of a plan, a system, a structure in place, if you don't use software, if you don't hire the right people, if you don't make this a thing within your business, what your business could easily be looking like. And truth be told, I struggled with planning within the business, and I'm glad that I got connected with good mentorship that has helped me to not only hire someone from an operations and project management standpoint, but also has really reinforced for me the ability to strategically plan within a business and create some type of a structure around that. So let's talk about what it looks like if you decide to plan. What does failure to plan look like? So first off, let's kind of review a couple of different types of plans because we have plans all around us. We may pay attention to them, we may not, but we always have plans around us. And if you think about the plans that we have around us, what do? They help to decrease stress. They give us direction. They give us boundaries. They give us a framework. They help us to improve communication, and they help us to become successful. And so let's think about some of the plans that we are familiar with. How about a disaster plan? You all know what a disaster plan is. That's the plan that we put in place in case of a disaster. A business plan, obviously, the document sense of it dictates what the business will look like, how you'll make money, who you'll market to, who's your ideal audience, how you will serve them. And it talks about your business as a whole. And we're not going to talk deep about a document business plan, but I want to encourage you, A, to have one, and B, to review it, whether you do it quarterly, annually, whenever it needs to be reviewed and updated. Okay. How about an evacuation plan? In the case of the disaster, how will we properly evacuate and get out of the way so that we can get to safety? And how about a care plan? Now, I got to break it down for you because most of you guys are nurses. So we're very familiar with care plans or a plan of care that dictate what type of care we're going to have or give to our patients and who's involved in that process. And so I want you all to think about, as we're talking about planning within your business, think about why we plan in our everyday life. Why is that super important? And then that helps us in our business as well. So planning in your business, if you decide that that is not important, what you're looking at is increased stress, tension, and overwhelm. Why is it that I can speak so eloquently about these things? Is because I've experienced them all in my business. And so I want to be able to not only give you some tips on how to avoid this, but I'm going to infuse my life experience with this in this as well, because I've been through this before. So Increase in tension, increase in stress, and increase in overwhelm when you don't decide that you want to institute some type of a plan within your business. It also decreases communication. So if there's not a document or a process in place on how, let's say maybe how you're planning the next event, then certain people don't know what they're supposed to do, where they're supposed to go, what the deadline is, who's supposed to buy what. And what ends up happening is you get to the event and everybody's looking around trying to figure out who was supposed to do what. And that's because there was not a formal plan in place and nobody was actually reviewing the plan and holding people accountable for what they were supposed to do. Okay. How about team morale? So think about it like this: whenever there's increasing stress, tension, and overwhelm, and when there's a decrease in communication, people tend to feel not valued and then they start making mistakes, or they feel not valued and then they leave. People quit. They don't want to stay in an environment where there's overwhelm. They don't feel like anybody cares what they're doing. Uh, and they literally say, you know what, I can go work somewhere else where I can make more money and have less stress. Now, tell me, is that one of you guys? Have you ever felt like that before? Like there's no structure, there's no boundaries here. Who's in charge and who's doing what? Because there's not an official plan in place to communicate effectively amongst the team members. I got a feeling somebody here has experienced that. Now, how about this? With a plan in place, it gives you direction. So therefore, if there is a lack of a plan in place, then there's a lack of direction. So think about it like this. I think about it like a grocery list. A grocery list is actually like a little informal plan. You sit down, you write out all the groceries that you're going to get, and you kind of have in mind, whether you write it down or not, you have in mind about how much these groceries are going to cost you, how much time it's going to take you to go get them. And then you have like a little budget in your mind. Let's say you're going to only spend $150. Usually that goes pretty okay if you got your list. But what about the times you don't take your list? What about the times that you're hungry? You didn't stop and get anything to eat because your meeting went too long and you didn't plan for anything in between type of thing. So you're hungry and then you didn't create your list. So you don't have a guide to help you at the store. So 9 times out of 10, what we end up doing is we spend too much money. We spend too much time in the grocery store and we end up getting a bunch of junk food that continues this cycle of feeling tired, burnout, overwhelmed, and stressed. Understand that our food is our fuel. So whenever we properly plan, whether we have a recipe, a grocery list in place, when we properly prep our food, then 9 times out of 10, we're more successful about eating the right stuff that keeps us nourished. Same with your business. If you don't properly plan, you don't feed the business the things that it needs to continue to survive. Okay. Now, the next thing is if you don't properly plan, then you will have a decrease in the efficiency of the resources that you have in place. You want to make sure that the resources that you have, whether it's your team or your software or what have you, money, things like that, you want to make sure that you are properly utilizing those resources to their maximum benefit, but also efficiently. So think about it like this. With your event, let's say if you don't have a budget in place, then 9 times out of 10, we end up spending too much on the event. And then when we get the bill at the end, we're like shocked. That could have been a part of the event plan where you discuss budget, you discuss who's going to buy what and how much money that you're going to allow that to be bought, and also a time frame of which that should be bought in. 9 times out of 10, if we don't put a deadline or a time frame, that ends up costing us a little bit more money in the long run. So think about it that way. Things go up, things become more expensive when we don't execute quickly. Sometimes our resources are not available and we may have to go get a more expensive option. There's a lot that's in place, or there's a lot to say about effective planning within your business. So the inefficiency of your resources is what you're looking at if you do not properly plan in your business. How about if you don't plan you don't plan, failure to plan? How about a decrease in the continuity and the synergy and the structure of your business? So not only do you kind of stop and lose your momentum, but it's hard to build it back up. It's hard to go from one event to the next event. It's hard to go from one launch to the next launch. When you have a plan in place, you should be able to, after the event, after the plan, after the launch, whatever, afterwards, you should be able to review some things and look at what worked, what didn't work, and what you will do better. But take that template, that blueprint that you've created, and rinse and repeat. Make small tweaks here and there. But 9 times out of 10, when you have a plan in place and you follow it, you can better understand what didn't work and what did, and just make small tweaks. It doesn't require a whole lot of energy to build a whole new plan, usually speaking. But you want to be in a position where there's synergy, there's a flow, there's a structure within your business so things run smoothly. And that happens when you have a plan in place. How about missed opportunities to capitalize? This is a big one. This has happened to me several times where maybe I launched something, but I didn't have a plan on the back end. I had an event, but I didn't have anything to offer my clientele next. Or maybe I had a challenge, but I didn't know what the challenge was headed towards. And so I did not properly plan to institute something afterwards to upsell the customer to, or serve the customer at a higher level. When that happens, you miss out on opportunities to capitalize. And that is super, super important. When you miss out on opportunities to capitalize, you miss out on clients, you miss out on money, and we don't like doing that. Okay. How about this one? This one is a big one. You lose your competitive edge. Now, everybody knows that it's natural. We have competitors and they're grinding and hustling it out just as hard as we are. But if you are not putting a plan in place, and they are, let's say they have a plan in place, and every time they do an event, every time they have a launch, they have a new package that they're bringing to the market or what have you. They have a plan in place and their team is communicating. Everybody on the team understands what their role is, and so on and so forth. They have a plan for what the budget's going to look like, what the marketing plan is going to look like. All of those things are in place, and you don't have those things in place. Your competitor has an edge on you that you don't have. And their well-crafted plans are able to be duplicated and executed, and usually they include strategies within it. So understand that if they have a plan in place and you don't, they have an edge over you, and you're losing your competitive edge. That's why it's important to have a plan in place. How about a decrease in your revenue? Now, my coach says when you fail to plan, you fail to profit. And we don't like to fail to profit. That is not what we like to do. When you fail to plan, you fail to profit. That is big. And I've experienced it. I understand what he's saying. So understand, you've got to put forth some type of a plan in place. Again, launch plan, marketing plan, event plan, some type of a plan in place, and make that weave it into the DNA of your business. Like this is just as normal. A plan in your business is just as normal as the food that you get up and eat every single day. You've got to have it in order to survive within your business. We all know too that a decrease in revenue also messes with your financial stability. So if you fail to plan, your financial instability becomes a bigger issue. Okay. And then in return decreases the survival, and also the survival and the viability of your business will be at stake when you fail to plan. So I want you to remember just how important, I can't stress this up enough to you. I want you to be able to maneuver in the marketplace because you have plans in place. When something comes along and may require you to pivot, then you'll be able to pivot smoothly because the plan has been in place and you have discussed it. Your team understands it, and then you guys can execute and keep it moving, and it doesn't decrease your momentum, right? When you don't have a plan in place and something happens that throws you off, then that could mean disaster, and that's not what I want to happen to you. So bottom line is this. Let's recap really quickly. I want you to make sure that you include some type of a plan in place for your business. There's several different types of business planning that should be going on in your business. Launches, if you are getting ready to do online events, in-person events, if you're getting ready to enter into the new year, there's an annual plan that needs to be had. How about quarterly plans, weekly plans? Even meet with your team, write out the things that you want to achieve in the week, who's going to do what, and what the budget looks like, or what the goal looks like. How much money do we want and need to make this week, type of thing, right? And let's put a plan in place. At the end of the day, remember what I said at the grocery store. If you don't have your grocery list, then 9 times out of 10, you end up buying too much. You kill your budget, you kill your diet, then you're upset and frustrated and mad at the world. I don't want that to happen to you personally, and I don't want that to happen to you in your business. So I hope this has been super helpful for you. I want to also remind you that this week is our anniversary week, July the 24th through July the 28th, 2023. And so I want to say shout out to everybody that's been rocking with me the past 8 years. The official day is July the 25th. So BNE started in 2015 on July the 25th, and this is our 8th year. And I want you to pay attention in the group because we've been doing multiple things all throughout the week in order to help people to launch, build, and grow their businesses successfully. So make sure that you're paying attention within the group. Last but not least, I want to make sure that you remember that B&E Elite is our membership, and that's the best way to enjoy all aspects of B&E, from top to the bottom: your visibility, your networking, your ability to come together and mastermind and think about ways to make our businesses better. This is how you do it. So you can join us down there at the bottom. You see blacknursentrepreneurs.org, and you'll see in the top right hand corner where it says membership. Join via your computer if you will. We would love to have you, and not only have you, but also network with you, connect with you, see how we can help you to build your business and grow it even bigger and better. Okay, so that is my time. Thank you for rocking it out with me. I appreciate your love, respect, and honor of this community, and I can't wait to connect with you